Hello, friends of Studio Brule. This is Steve Brule, and it is coffee time. An informal chat where I go over some of the things that have come across my desk since the last time we talked, which was yesterday. And today we have a special guest coming in. But first, I want to just acknowledge some of the regulars in the comment stream already. Michael Keller, BDB, Josue. Welcome to the show again. I'm going to draw your attention to my VIP club member of the patriarchy, which authorizes me to comment on all the comings and goings of the evil feminist empire, of which their evil tentacles spread all the way around the world with thousands upon thousands of well-funded organizations. Today, we're talking about the China-Africa connection, and specifically related to Nigeria. And one of the fellows here that's staying in the condo is Wale Ojo, who's a famous actor in Nigeria and has been on some films that all of you folks would have known about. Wale will be on in a few minutes after I go over some of the background of the relationship between China, Africa, and Nigeria in particular. China has a great interest in Africa, particularly because of Africans' resources. There's a ton of resources in Africa, and the relationship between China and Africa is pretty deep. So let's have a look at some of the, right away, some of the nature of the Africa-China relationships. I'm going to expand this a bit for you so you can hear it better, read it better. This is from Wikipedia. A few, well, this is not advancing on me. Hold on a second. I'm going to have to get a new, oopsie, that didn't work it. Bear with me a second. And here we go. Let's push that forward. Okay. The China-Africa relations, reading from the top. Trade between China and Africa increased by 700% during the 1990s, and China is currently Africa's largest trading partner. Oh, sorry, we've got Wale on here. Wale, I might as well introduce you while you're on the screen. This is the second time I've done this with a viewer. This is Wale Ojo, actor from Africa, and Wale, we'll talk about, we're going to have you commenting on the screen. Certainly, you're let me just unmute you here.
Okay.
Shortly, but I do want to go over some of this material, and then we'll talk about it specifically with respect to Africa, or rather China's influence in Nigeria today, and any information you might have about the coronavirus influence. By the way, folks, I was saying Wale got shipwrecked here in Dominican Republic on his way to a film shoot in Puerto Rico. Was it, Wale?
Yeah.
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 And, you were. My understanding is that you were facing a long quarantine in Miami. Is that right?
No, I was gonna. I was gonna face a long quarantine in Puerto Rico because of cancellations and shoot cancellations. And can you see me?
No, we've lost your camera, sir, for some reason. Oh. But carry on. Explain your situation there.
Yeah. So I was going to be quarantined for 14 days, so I decided to stop up at Miami, and because I didn't want to be quarantined for 14 days. And then from Miami, I got an invitation from my good friend to come to Dominican Republic. And when I got to Dominican Republic, I thought I was going to be here for maybe a week or so, and then the airports closed, and I've been here for nearly 2 months now.
Yes, and that's the situation with the entire quarantine. Well, you might want to turn your face facing the sun instead of away from the sun.
Okay.
Because it turns your camera very dark.
Okay, is that better?
Yeah, that'll be better. Yeah, we can see you much better now.
Okay, all right.
So that's been the bait and switch of this entire quarantine, because it all started out as a flatten the curve kind of thing. Yeah. And then it's now turned into a long-term shutdown for various reasons that I'm
Yep.
rather suspicious about. So I actually know Wale's friend Stefano, who has a condo on the water just about, I don't know, a few hundred meters from here.
Yeah.
So that's how I met up with Wale. Wale, what's
Mm-hmm.
your most famous film? I think we asked you this before.
Oh, maybe ones that your viewers might know is a film I did with Rowan Atkinson of Mr. Bean fame, and it was a movie called Johnny English Reborn.
Johnny English, yes, that was famous. That was a very
Yeah.
popular movie.
Yeah.
Rowan Atkinson, he must be a blast to work with.
Yeah, he's a complete nutter, as we say back in London.
It doesn't show in his work, no, not at all, right?
No. You know, before every take, he goes through all these faces and go, ooh, ah. And I go, Rowan, what are you doing? He goes, I'm just getting ready for the shoot, Wale. I'll be ready now.
His face is so flexible; it almost looks like digital manipulation.
That's right. It's like chewing gum face, you know.
Yeah. Okay, so let's get straight to some of the material. I'm going to put you in the small bar here, and I'm going to just go over some of this background material about the relationship between China, Africa, Nigeria, and a little bit about Ethiopia, because that's how their connection to the World Health Organization is. I'm just going to mute your mic here for the time being, Wale, then we'll get you right back in.
Okay.
So here, reading from the top, we saw that the trade between China and Africa increased by 700%. And China is currently Africa's largest trading partner. The Forum on China-Africa Cooperation was established in 2000 as an official forum to greatly strengthen the relationship. A few Western countries, such as the UK and the United States, have become concerned over the significant political, economic, and military roles China is playing in the African continent. As an aside, I don't know if I screen capped this, China now has a military base in the South Cape of Africa, their first military base there, and it's there to protect their growing assets in the African continent. Let's carry on a little bit here. China began to cultivate ties and offer economic, technical, military support to African countries and liberation movements in an effort to encourage wars of national liberation and revolution as part of an international and united front against both superpowers. So there you have one of China's other motives is that they are in a united a war against the two superpowers. This goes back again to the time of the Cold War, when the two superpowers they're referring to there are the United States and Russia. China at one time had a cozy relationship with Russia. You might remember. Reading from the top here, the question of Taiwan has been a key political issue for the People's Republic of China. In 1971, the support of African nations was crucial to the PRC joining the United Nations. So China needed the support of the, China needed the support of the African nations to make their way into the UN, taking over the seat of ROC on Taiwan. Many African countries, such as Algeria, Egypt, Ethiopia, Zambia, have stressed their support to one China policy. And only one African country, Swaziland, still maintains relations with Taipei. For the quest for a permanent UN seat for Africa, Nigeria, the largest African country, relies on Chinese support while Egypt looks to US backing. So there's a motivation, another key link between Nigeria and one of the largest African countries, the largest they say here, being the other larger ones being Ethiopia and South Africa, and probably a couple others there. I'm not up on which are the largest at the moment. In July 2019, UN ambassadors of 37 countries, including Algeria, and you can read all those countries there, 37 countries in Africa, have signed a joint letter to the UNHRC defending China's treatment of Uyghurs and other Muslim minorities in Xinjiang region of China. That is showing how powerful the connection between China and these African nations is. Some of these African nations are benefiting or at least are somewhat addicted to China's economic force in Africa. And this people here they're referring to, here's a picture of an Uruguayan man in China. And let's read what the relationship with China and that group is. Since 2015, it has been estimated that over 1 million of these people, Uyghurs, have been detained in re-education camps. The camps were established under this general. Critics of China's treatment of the Uyghur have accused the Chinese government of propagating a policy of sinicization, calling this policy an ethnocide or a cultural genocide. And yet the African nations are in support of defending China on that because of course, the economic connection and the pressures involved in those economic connections. Let's read from the top. 1/3 of China's oil supplies comes from the African continent, mainly from Angola. So that there's a huge resources already being extracted from African continent. Investments of Chinese companies in the energy sector have reached high levels in recent years. In some cases, like in Nigeria and Angola, oil and gas exploration and production deals reached more than $2 billion. Many of these investments are mixed packages of aid and loan in exchange for infrastructure building and trade deals. Now, let's carry on with another bit of this. Before we get in, I'm going to skip Bill Gates' connection because Bill Gates is connected to China and Africa. The Melinda and Bill Gates organization here is increasingly investing in African resources as well, and on the basis of health issues. Now I'm going to jump forward to China in Nigeria relationship. Skip the Ethiopian relationship because we have Wale waiting here. This will be strictly straight to the Nigeria relationship between China and Africa. And this, I'm going to have to get this all up on one page here. Bear with me a second again. All right. China is considered one of Nigeria's closest allies and partners. China is one of Nigeria's important trading and export partners. According to 2014 BBC World Service poll, 80% of Nigerians view China's influence positively, with only 10% expressing a negative view, making China the most Nigeria the most pro-Chinese nation in the world. Nigeria has since become an important source of oil and petroleum for China's rapidly growing economy, and Nigeria is looking to China for help in achieving high economic growth. China has provided extensive economic, military, and political support. Both nations signed a memorandum of understanding on establishing a strategic partnership. China has supported Nigeria's bid for a seat in the UN Security Council. Furthermore, China agreed to buy a controlling stake in this oil refinery. Nigeria has promised to give preference to Chinese oil firms for contracts of oil exploration in the Niger Delta and Chad Basin. In 2006, China also agreed to grant a loan of $1 billion to Nigeria to help it upgrade and modernize its railway networks. And this is typical of the Chinese strategy in Africa, is building the infrastructures that allow the extraction of the resources. It's also pledged $267 million to build the free trade zone near Lagos. However, the flooding of Nigerian markets with cheap Chinese goods has become a sensitive political issue, as combined with the importation of secondhand European products. It has adversely affected domestic industries, especially in textiles, and led to closure of 65 textile mills and the laying off of 150,000 textile workers over the course of a decade. And this is the issue here, the flooding of Nigerian markets with cheap Chinese goods. This is a strategy or an effect of a relationship with China around the world. We see the same thing in the US and many other nations. Now, the structure of the Sino-Nigerian trade relationship has become a major political issue because China exports account for 80% of the total bilateral trade volume. 80%, the Chinese export. This has resulted in a serious trade imbalance, with Nigeria importing 10 times more than it exports to China. Nigeria's economy is becoming over-reliant on cheap foreign imports to sustain itself, resulting in a clear decline in Nigerian industry under such arrangements. Now, on top of this, we're seeing an example of the bribery going on from the Chinese. And here, let's read about this particular one. 2 Chinese men have been arrested in Nigeria over alleged bribery to sway a probe of a Chinese firm, a local media reported. In a statement, the EFCC said it was investigating the company in connection with the execution of contracts for the construction of township roads and solar-powered boreholes. And here, it's to the point now when Nigeria, this is published in May 15th, 2020, that the Nigerian National Assembly is to review and seeking to cancel Chinese loans because of this excess power and corruption that is growing there. Reading from the top, Nigerian House of Representatives have resolved to set up an investigation committee to look into all extant China-Nigeria loan arrangements since 2000, with a view to ascertaining their viability, regularizing, and renegotiating them. This was sequel to a unanimous adoption of a motion by House Representative Benson Igbakpa at the plenary on Tuesday. According to him, it has resulted to a new form of economic colonialism voiced by China. There's an urgent need to subject all subsidizing Nigeria-China contractual loan agreements to forensic fiscal scrutiny and review. These loans come with strings, in other words. And along with those strings comes a pain for the Nigerian people, as we see the flooding of the Nigerian markets with cheap Chinese goods in this unbalanced trade deal. Let's read from the top. He said that records from Nigeria's Debt Management Office revealed that the People's Republic of China emerged Nigeria's major creditor under the bilateral deals with $2.3 billion out of $3.3 billion. So there we're looking at roughly 2/3 of credit coming from China. In essence, Nigeria is being bought by China to some degree. The legislator expressed concern that the IMF, has reported in The Guardian November 3rd, had raised the alarm that most of the Chinese deals are not Paris Club compliant, and for which the World Bank has blacklisted 6 Chinese companies currently operating in Nigeria. According to him, this is over alleged fraudulent, corrupt practices, including deceptive tactics, illicit trade, extortion, Greek gifts, and neo-colonial proclivities. They said that the assistance from China will come with a price of economic takeover if Nigeria is unable to repay her loan. The legislator said that the Chinese attitude to indebtedness is the hardest in the world, as they do not offer debt relief or cancellation. So, as a cap off to this, to tie this into what's going on in Nigeria related to the coronavirus and around the world related to coronavirus, this is another example of how this lockdown is causing more pain than the coronavirus itself. What is behind Nigeria's unexplained deaths in Kano? Kano is a region in Nigeria. And here is just a couple of quotes on that. Private hospitals, which provide for a significant part of health provision in the region, have been closed due to coronavirus fears. This could mean a lack of support for those with existing conditions who may have died as a result. These areas are very, very poor. And where did those quotes come from? Now, this from the same article. It's shocking to most of us that the count of the dead is alarming. but it's likely due to the reduction in the number of health institutions available in the state, because there are a lot of hypertensive patients, diabetic patients, asthmatic patients, cancer patients. They don't have much access to the hospital. The lockdown is affecting everybody. Our poor majority don't even have a vehicle to take them to the hospitals. So this is another example of the adverse effect of the quarantine hitting Nigerians. At the same time, what's going on in the capital? There's a article out May 5th. Bill Gates offered the representatives $10 million bribe for passage of compulsory vaccination bill at the same time that all of these other issues are going on. I'm going to just call up the rest of these things here. And these quotes from that same article. The body in the statement alleged that a sum of $10 million was offered by the American computer czar Bill Gates for influence of the speedy passage of the bill without recourse to legislative public hearing. Why would Bill Gates want to rush a mandatory vaccine bill through the House so much that we would offer a $10 million bribe? Opposition coalition has intercepted very credible intelligence and hereby alerts Nigerians of plans by the leadership of the House Representatives led by Femi, I won't try to pronounce that name, to forcefully and without adherence to the rules of lawmaking to pass the Control of Infectious Disease Bill 2020, otherwise known as the Compulsory Vaccination Bill, which is proposing a compulsory vaccination of all Nigerians even when the vaccines have not been discovered. The intelligence is coupled with the information of the alleged receipt from sources outside the country, but very interested in the bill. The sum of $10 million by the sponsors and promoters of the bill to distribute among lawmakers to ensure smooth passage of the bill. The alleged deal was struck during a trip to Austria a few months back, while financial support for the proposition of the bill was allegedly received last week to mobilize for a push leading to the hurried attempt to pass the bill. And I don't think we need to read the rest of this. So here we have Bill Gates' involvement in both Africa and Nigeria, Bill pushing forward his vaccine agenda. We have the connection with the Chinese, essentially taking over the economies of Africa in order to extract their resources, taking over those economies by a form of very highly criticized debt arrangements with the various countries. So with that backdrop, let's get back to Wale. Wale, are you here? Yes.
Yep.
Here we are. Wale, I dumped a whole lot of information on you there. Have you got any comments on any of that stuff, or we can take this conversation wherever you'd like to go? What do you know about what's going on in Nigeria?
Well, I was looking at with interest at a lot of the information that was read on there. A lot of it was accurate, and a lot of it was inaccurate. Let me just take you back a little bit here. If we really go back, I don't know if you've ever heard of the term, the scramble for Africa.
I can imagine what it means. There's been a lot of scrambles around Africa for resources, for sure.
Yeah. So there is no Western country that has been innocent of that.
Yeah.
From Great Britain to the United States to a lot of Western countries have been involved in basically chopping up African resources. And China is just on that list.
But isn't China the biggest player in there now?
Probably one of the biggest. I wouldn't say it's the biggest, but it's one of the biggest.
Yeah, they've been making a big push on it. It's been analyzed quite deeply. China
Russia's in there. America is in there. Everybody's in there. So really, at the end of the day, what it boils down to is that because we have such terrible leadership in the country, and I say that without qualms, certain individuals maybe find it, easy to infiltrate certain economic quarters of the country. But I think it would be wrong to say that China has completely taken over the economy of many African countries. What they're trying to do is basically infiltrate and store up their own economic power within the continent. And, you know, if you look at back over the years, the way China has introduced itself into Nigeria, they've actually created jobs in Nigeria.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They've created industries in Nigeria. I shot a movie in Nigeria called The CEO, in which we spoke
that
about.
movie, actually. Yes.
Oh, you saw that movie? Okay.
I did. I watched it on Netflix just recently.
Mm-hmm. And it talks about China's infiltration into the telecommunications industry in Nigeria. And it doesn't speak favorably of the Chinese. In fact, I end up being a pawn of the Chinese in that film, used to basically take over the telecommunication business. So, I mean, China's involvement is massive. I mean, you mentioned quite rightly the Lekki Free Trade Zone. There's some of that I actually have some interest in, because that particular area of Lagos has got incredible land, but they've made it accessible that you can actually buy land there. And they've done that in conjunction with, you know, one of Africa's richest men, Aliko Dangote. You know, he's worth about 20 billion US right now, you know. So there's a lot of business that's happening, and it's very, very difficult to actually point at exactly what is their intent. Definitely economic colonialism is up there, yes. But, you know, the Chinese are also, I mean, look, let's put it this way. For example, Jack Ma, who owns Alibaba, right? He's the richest Chinese man in the world, apparently. And he sent $2 million worth of testing equipment to Nigeria. Okay. Now, Nigerians are extremely clever, and they use basically the mindset of the Chinese or the Westerner against them. Now, let me explain to you what that means. So you have a conglomerate of Nigerian businessmen. They will actually pretend to be politicians, okay? And they will say to the Chinese, please come and give us money to do X, Y, Z. But they don't have that authority, but they take that Chinese money. Are you with me?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, look,
yeah.
Everybody knows there's a whole world of scams coming out of Nigeria. I don't have to remind you of that.
Not only Nigeria, the whole world.
Yeah.
The biggest scammer in the world is the United States of America. So let's just be let's put it clear. Let's put it in clear terms. You know, I like saying it as it is, you know. And
yeah, of course.
You know, there's no point saying, oh, Nigeria is the biggest scammer, or Africa.
No, let me tell you what I'm referring to here. Everybody and his brother and sister has probably received a dozen emails saying, send me $5,000 because I need help getting my dead prince's funds out of Nigeria, and all I need is $5,000 to release $50 million that you'll get, right?
Well,
you receive those emails too?
I just delete. I delete. Why do some people fall for it?
I don't know. That's a whole other story.
Why do they fall for such an obvious scam?
So obvious. You know? Yeah.
I mean, you know, it's ridiculous. Look, I nearly did a film with this guy. What's his name now? I can't remember his name now. Ben Stiller. All right. And it was all about Nigerian scams, and he ends up coming to Nigeria and saying he had to pay all his insurance money, and he wants to find out who scammed him, and he meets me, and he gets further scammed, and it's one scam upon another scam upon another scam upon another scam.
What's the name of the movie before we go to the bar?
It's called Help Me Spread Goodness. It was never made.
Oh.
But I met Ben in a hotel in London, and he was very keen on making this film. But the film actually it became into what we call in Hollywood development hell. So it never happened, you know.
It's crap.
Well, it would have been an amazing film. It was very, very funny and very perceptive film. But you know, it just proves my point that, look, you know, China is definitely in Nigeria to basically shore up its power as a superpower. They want to be the biggest superpower on the planet.
Yeah. Yeah,
There's no doubt about that.
Stated goal. I mean, they're not hiding that. I mean, analysts.
They're not hiding that.
Chinese have stated that basically.
Yeah. You
And
know,
they
they're
need
not hiding it.
resources, and Africa has the most resources at hand for them.
Yeah, yeah. But there are some countries that are resisting, you know, Chinese, if you like, economic infiltration. Like that's the right term. You know, not every single African country is saying, "Oh yes, oh come on and take over our economy," and Nigeria has a huge economy. And I think it would be erroneous to say that China is taking over the entire economy of Nigeria. You know, that's not true. They're contributing to a part of the economy. They're actually quite helpful to a part of the economy, and in some ways they are unhelpful to a part of the economy. I completely agree with your statement about the flooding in the market of bad goods. You know, there's a term we use
Cheap
in Nigeria
Chinese
called
goods, yeah.
if you want to buy cheap faulty Chinese goods, yeah, a lot of them in the market. It actually became a popular pop term where we go original, not made in China. So if you want to go buy something, make sure it's original, not made in China.
Yeah.
It's actually part of a song.
That's been a joke in Canada, the U.S. for as long as I can remember.
Yeah.
Not exactly.
No, you know.
But there is this indisputable trade deficit. 80% they're talking about here. 80% of the total bilateral trade volumes is exports from China to Nigeria. That's quite a deficit of trade.
That's huge.
And with their funding or putting out loans to build this infrastructure, the Nigerians are on the tap for repaying those loans. So, you know, are they buying up China, Nigeria? In fact, are they buying up or buying influence throughout Africa? It sure seems so, especially given the levels of corruption. And we're seeing the Nigerian government actually considering canceling all Chinese loans now. That's somebody there is worried about that. Somebody in Nigeria.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right, and so they should be. You know, because what's going to happen? Just like the IMF, the International Monetary Fund, with massive loans to Nigeria over the past decades. You know, the country becomes tied to a loan, and it's tied to paying interest on the loan instead of moving forward. Just another form of economic slavery.
Yeah, and of course, being so indebted, they're under the. They have to take direction from their debtors, right?
Yeah, but I don't think that you see that the whole political situation in Nigeria is uncertain at most times, because sometimes you're not actually sure if this person is actually working for a particular ministry or whatever. I mean, for example, this bill that's being passed through, you know, it's been highly debated right now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and also this bribery from certain Chinese officials, you know, you're just not sure whether it's true or not. There's a lot
it's all
of
we got to
stories
go on. I mean, this is in the news, so I don't know what else we can go on from this. I mean, clearly they could be mistaken.
Yeah,
there could be information that hasn't come to the surface. There's a lot of uncertainty for sure.
Well, you know, I think as part of a kind of bilateral trade agreements between China and Nigeria, at the onset of the coronavirus, China sent $2 million worth of testing kits and masks to Nigeria and a team of 20 doctors.
Did any of those testing kits and masks actually work? Because in Canada, we had to throw them all out.
Yeah,
we received a bunch from China as well, and they were all bad. They had to throw them all out.
Nigerians actually went as far as to say that they should not remove the test kits from their packaging because they thought that it was infected with coronavirus. So that was
it is possible.
That was a Nigerian, that was the people's reaction to that. It was it went viral on Twitter, and everybody was saying, you know, they were blaming the government. They were, you know, saying to the government, you should not accept these gifts from China.
Right.
You know,
Wally, do you want to take some questions from our viewers here? I'm going to just ask the viewers if they have any questions for you, Wally. Viewers, you have an opportunity here to ask whatever you want of Wally. But Try to keep it under X-rated. No X-rated questions. So, Wally, you've been here 2 months, right?
Yeah.
How are you finding the quarantine here?
I love it. I'm on an extended vacation. I mean, look at the nature, look at the beauty. I don't know if you can see that. And it's I have got no real complaints. So
I've got to show my viewers where you are. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Just so you know, Wally is sitting outside my apartment there. Turn to your right, Wally. Your other right.
Oh, the other one.
There, see my camera?
Where are you? Okay.
We're not in the same we're not in the same viewers. We're not in the same room because there's too much audio.
Don't lie, Steve. I've hooked up. I'm in your apartment. I'm squatting in your apartment.
Yeah, he's on my terrace outside in the rocking chair. That's why you see his head bobbing up and down.
Yeah. I love the rocking chair, by the way. It's great.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I have to agree with you, Wally. Like this quarantine this is probably as good as it gets for riding out this quarantine. I mean, we can go out and walk around here
absolutely,
and we can walk by the ocean. We've got the grocery store walking distance away. We've got the swimming pool just 30, 40 feet. The swimming pool is actually like 10 feet from your front door, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. I'm in the pool. Yeah, I'm in there every morning, afternoon, and night. I'm ready to jump in right now. See, I got my swimming shorts.
I have to ask. This is not X-rated, but it's maybe a little private. Yeah. I don't know if I've seen you in any other shorts this entire time. Do you have only like one pair of shorts here?
When I was coming here, I didn't think that I was going to be here for this long. And I just thought, you know what, I'm just pack a couple of things and then I'm gone. So yeah, I was only able to pack one pair of swimming shorts. So what you see now is going to be famous all across the world. Please, when the shops reopen, I'm there to grab 10. Yeah, exactly.
Because we touched on this, but you were stopped over in Miami, right? You were stopped in Miami, and you were concerned about this being trapped in Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico, yeah.
So you contacted Stefano, who said, "Come on down here." And boom, bam, boom. Yeah. Here you are.
I was actually going to stay in Miami and see if I can get a flight back to Lagos or London, and then everything was just closing around me. And then by the time Stefan said, "Come to the Dominican Republic," I came into the Dominican Republic. I think a day or 2 days after, they closed the airports and declared a state of emergency.
Yeah.
So, and it's been 2 months since.
Yeah. Incredible how this has turned from a flatten the curve into you can't leave your house or you're going to be shot kind of quarantine.
Well, I don't know about being shot. Don't leave, otherwise you're going to die.
I'm being slightly exaggerating for,
No. It's it's funny rhetoric. You say that, actually, because I did something when I first got here. I got on my Instagram Live a show called Quarantine from Korokoro, where I actually dramatized what's been going on with me in the Dominican Republic for all my Instagram followers. And I do a show where I actually dramatize the fact that I'm being imprisoned here, the Dominican Republic, and I can't go out.
I saw your show.
So I got to find a way to escape, If your viewers want to see that show, they can follow me on Instagram, plug, at Real Wale Ojo.
Okay, I'm going to write it right in the comments here.
Yeah. Please follow me, and you can enjoy that piece of comic drama.
I don't know if the folks got a chance to see the dramatic reading of the network script from folks there. I don't know if you guys, if you haven't seen it yet, it's on the channel. You can have a look at that. So I saw you out horseback riding too.
Yeah, I love horses. I love riding horses.
Yeah, I actually got a photo or a little video clip of you as I was riding my motorcycle. I probably shouldn't advertise this, but while I was riding on my motorcycle, I saw you coming down the road from Costambar there, from the gate.
Okay.
And I happened to have my GoPro in my pocket, so I took it out.
Oh, you did?
And I handheld it while I was riding past you on the motorcycle.
I love to see that. I love to see that.
Of course, you know, there's no. It's dangerous, of course, but like here in Dominican Republic, you'd be amazed at what you see goes on a motorcycle here.
Oh, really?
And you get kind of caught up into that kind of laissez-faire attitude. So I wasn't wearing a helmet. I got shorts and sleeveless shirt on.
I've seen that. Yeah,
driving one hand, holding my GoPro, filming Wally on a horse on the other side of the road.
I've seen kids here doing wheelies on their bikes, you know, going right across the street with the, you know, wheeling their bikes and stuff.
You know, I think wheelies are like a national sport here. You know,
I think so, yeah.
It starts in kindergarten and it goes right through. They'll wheelie right through traffic. It's the first time I saw a guy coming at me on a narrow road, and he's like 50, 60 feet in front of me, and all of a sudden he pops up on a wheelie coming straight at me on the motorcycle, you know.
It's crazy. It's crazy. But you know, riding around here on horseback is amazing because they got them. I wish I could show you views. Got the mountains at the back, and you know, lots of dirt tracks, and then it's just
some pictures here. Let me
beautiful, really, really great.
While we're talking, I'm just going to look for some pictures of that because I'm sure I've got tons of pictures. The mountains and whatnot here.
Yeah.
And actually, my viewers have seen some of this in the past as well. And let's see what I've got here. We can continue talking while I look because it could take me a while.
I was just thinking that your viewers are very shy. I'm so used to Nigerian live shows, and the comments will be flooding in right now, and people screaming their agreements or disagreements or asking me questions, telling me to do impressions, and they love my latest character. And can I just shut up and do that voice I used to do? And I'm like, no one's saying anything here. The difference is in audiences.
I'll give you a question. What's your favorite voice to do?
Oh, I got loads. One of my favorite. Well, you know, one of my favorites is the BBC broadcaster voice.
Okay, give it to me.
You know, where it goes. Okay, here we go. But hello, ladies and gentlemen, this is the BBC. This is Graham Walters reporting for the BBC. And today, the coronavirus pandemic is going straight up. And the Queen has advised and announced that she will, in fact, lead the fight against the coronavirus. We'll be reporting for the BBC after this news. Thank you. Good night.
Thank you very much. We'll be right back in 10 seconds after this message from our sponsor.
I thought you were going to go for a commercial break, then I would have been brilliant too. I really thought you were going to go for a commercial break.
I sold it.
That was great. You did. I was gonna go straight to buy Wale shorts right now. Going for sale.
Let me pop this photo up on the screen here. Folks can see.
Yeah, look at that. Beautiful. Huh?
The area we're suffering in here. This is down the street from here, about I don't know, 5 minutes walk. As you turn the corner by the beach. Honestly, it has been really lucky to be here during this quarantine. From what I hear from people dealing with around the world, I mean, we've got nothing. I've got nothing to complain about. I mean, I spend most of my days doing almost the same thing I did before the quarantine. You know.
And actually, I've got to say, when I first came here, you know, Steve made it very exciting for me because within the first day or 2 days of me getting to know you, we were on the motorbikes.
That's right.
You know, going right around Costa Bar. I thought that was so much fun.
I wish we could use that second bike again, but I'm worried about, like I was telling, I'll tell the viewers there, I have two of these motorbikes, one that has a problem with the fork oil leaking out, and I haven't been able to fix it. So the fork oil leaks onto the front brake, and then you don't have braking. So I'm not lending the bike out until I get that fork oil fixed, and I haven't been able to get it fixed yet. It's just too dangerous, like without a front brake. But speaking of dangers in the Dominican Republic, Dominicans wouldn't hesitate a minute to ride the bike like this. In the case
I was just going to say that, but I didn't want to.
No, it wouldn't faze them at all, because I actually saw a motorcycle with no disc on the front brake. It wasn't just a bad work. They had, the disc must have worn out, and they just took it off and kept riding the motorcycle with no front brake at all on it.
Amazing.
You can see the bolt holes where the disc used to be, and there's no front brake whatsoever.
I mean, one
Okay.
thing that, yeah.
We do have a question. We do have a question here, and
Okay.
Whoops. Let me get back to. There was a first question. I think there's two I might have missed here. Okay, here's the question right here. Michael Keller says, "I have a question following up on question one." Oh, yeah, he must have a back question here. Here's question one.
I like that question.
What is what is your opinion of what should be changed other than governments no longer trying to exploit Nigeria and other countries? Okay.
Okay. In my view, that's a great question, and I've always advocated for this. I've even got into trouble in Nigeria about this. There must be an extreme change of leadership, and the country must be led by younger, much younger people, not 70, 80-year-old politicians who should be on this rocking chair right now. You know, they are not qualified to lead any longer. They're brilliant Nigerians all across the globe who are frustrated to come home and do the work because of these old politicians. They're a pain in the proverbial butt. It's a democracy, yes.
Are they voted in?
Yes, it is.
So who's voting in?
They're voted in, quote unquote. Okay, I wouldn't say more than that. But
you don't trust
I don't know. No, I don't. And anyone can quote me on that. I don't trust it. Okay. What I do trust is the fact that, you know, I've been advocating, and also with a few influential people in the country, for the younger people, younger minds, younger brains, and these kids are brilliant. They can sort the country out in a month.
Are they running for office?
You know, they're not, because when they get into Nigeria, they get frustrated by these old politicians.
Well, they're not going to get into office if they don't run, you know.
Well, that's where we're trying to say, look, you know what, you're just going to have to, this is a battle, and we're just going to have to really take it. And I'm thinking using social media as a means of empowering a lot of young people to say, stand up and say, we want to run for office. We want to change the political game in this country. We think things should be start to be done differently.
Well, you're a well-known public figure there, being an actor, a very successful actor, and like your word would, your influence might have some sway with the young people.
Yes,
is that something you would get active about?
Well, it's something that I am getting active about. I've joined forces with a group called the Young Africa Leadership Forum, and it's basically a group of young kids. A lot of them are under 30 with great ideas. You know, in the way to, you know, to power the country through solar energy. They've got great ideas of turning agricultural waste, you know, into energy. Wonderful ideas. And all these kids, and we're now trying to bring them under one umbrella and to say, all right, guys, the country is yours. How would you fix it? And we then come up with these ideas. We then take those ideas to the people that matter. And if they don't do anything about it, we find the money to do something about it. I've set up an entire organization based on that.
You have?
Yes.
And what's it called again?
It's called the Virgo Foundation. I wonder if I can write the email address. It's www.virgofoundation, as Virgo's in the stars, virgofoundation.org.ng.
Oops. And my typing is a bit off here.
Can you hear?
www.virgofoundation.org.
Virgofoundation.org.ng.
Okay, I put that in the commentaries here. So, oops, we lost Wally. Wally, you've dropped out on me here. I can see him outside the window, but he's not seeing me. I don't know what's happening there. Wally, you're dropped out. Oh, here you are. He's back. He's back.
Yeah. Don't know what happened there.
Don't know. But here I'm going to, I just might take a moment to recognize Ziranx for his generous contribution to Studio Burley. And Ziranx says, what is your opinion about Nnamdi Kanu and his goals for a state of Biafra? Is there anything similar regarding other groups?
Okay, that's a great question. It really is a fantastic question. Can you hear me?
Yep, I hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, that's a great question. Yes, I can. Um, ah, it's a difficult one to answer that because I'm sorry, but I'm an advocate for one Nigeria. You know, for the country being one. And Nnamdi Kanu, he had a good run, but I have to tell you, he does not have the support of a lot of the majority of the Igbo people, and especially the Igbo people that matter. He has some support, but he doesn't have a huge amount of support.
For those of us who aren't familiar with the situation, can you give me a thumbnail sketch on that?
Yeah, I don't know if you remember, if any of your groups, your viewers remember that back in the 60s, Nigeria had a civil war because there was an area of the country that had most of the oil, and they wanted to secede basically to break away. And there was a civil war, and it was a terrible war. And over the years, they've been crying for their independence, but they've managed to merge themselves into what we call now one Nigeria. So of late, individuals like Nnamdi Kanu have come up to say, you know, we still want our independent Biafran state. And a lot of people are still going up for that. But I would say majority prefer to be within one Nigeria.
Okay. Alrighty.
Mm.
Now let's, I think there's one more question here. I don't know if this is related. Something about an ecumenical church. Can you read this question here? What is your opinion on the rumor of an ecumenical church being established in Nigeria that's geared towards combining all religions into one? Is this connected?
It will never happen.
Yeah.
No, it will never happen in Nigeria.
What's the dominant religion in Nigeria?
It's the Christian religion, followed by the Muslim religion.
What, any particular denomination of Christianity?
Oh, they have several hundred denominations, all with different views, I mean, look, basically, my view is that it's like a business. Organized religion in Nigeria is a business. You have some of the richest pastors in the world in Nigeria, and some of their flock are some of the poorest people in the country. Okay, you have the Muslims, on the other hand, where you have skirmishes, struggles, fights between Muslim members of the Muslim religion and members of the Christian community.
That seems to repeat itself all over Africa, doesn't it?
Yes, yes, it does. And it's a very unfortunate, it's a very sad thing. But, you know, I hate saying this, but that's the way it is. I don't really see them coming all together under one that's a tongue twister, ecumenical
church.
Yeah.
Well, the Pope came out, I think, a month or two ago, looking to do just that, looking to find a common ground between Islamic world and the Christian world. I don't have that at my fingertips, but I remember reading about that. But I don't have, if it's a statement, if it's a goal, it certainly would be a long-term one, because there's an awful lot of say no man's land between these two world views. Let's switch gears here for a sec.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead if you have something to say there.
Sorry. Yeah. No, I was just saying that sounds a bit like the Nicene Creed that was enforced by the Catholic Church hundreds and hundreds of years ago. You know, let's all be under one religion, one God. You know, and that just seems to me a means of political control.
I suspect they meant all Christian religions, as Christianity and Islamic world have not been very good friends throughout history.
Not really.
One might remember the Crusades.
Exactly.
Let's. There's a question here. Follow up from Michael Keller. His follow up on question 1 from before: is there a chance of the Pan-African dream Marcus Garvey espoused occurring, or is that a pipe dream at this stage in history?
No, it's not a pipe dream. It can still be very much a reality. Kwame Nkrumah was a great advocate of Pan-Africa, and Pan-Africanism has been a theme that's been taken up by many activists, many musicians, poets, and writers. The Pan-African dream is still a very, very strong dream that can still survive and that can still unite all of Africa. And we're seeing it, you know, we're seeing it slowly and gradually within the arts, especially, and also within certain parts of the African Union. One Africa,
Mhm.
Hi. And this was what what's his name tried to do, Gaddafi, although he had his share of problems. And we all know what happened there. He wanted one Africa, one African currency. And yeah, Steve, you have someone at the door.
Oh, that's okay.
Fjord, the great and
Be okay.
wonderful Fjord.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So we have another couple of questions here. I think I'm just going to try and scroll through them to find them. Where was that here? I'm having a. If somebody can rewrite their questions in there in the comments, Oops, here we go. Here, do you agree? Let's put this one up here. Horror Cocktail says, Wally, do you have any information about the Great Screen Wall Initiative? Great Green Wall Initiative.
Well, I've been an advocate.
Maybe you could tell me what that is first.
I am assuming because there's been many things to do with the word green in Nigeria. I mean, our flag is green, white, green. But I'm assuming you're talking about the environmental revolution.
I don't know. Horror.
The Great Green Wall Initiative is I mean, because if you're talking about the environment, which I assume that's what you're saying, is something that I've also been advocating for a long time. Basically, clearing our oceans of plastic, investing more in nature, in the traditional herbs that we find, in our forests and in our organic soil. That's what I see is what you mean by the Great Green Wall Initiative. Except if it's something else, but please, let's say Horror Cocktail. What a great name.
Yeah. I don't know whether that's referring to something other than the environment. Green kind of taken on an entirely environmental sort of implications anytime you use the word nowadays. Yeah. Just skipping back on here.
Could be a green drink for all we know.
Could be creme de menthe. Is it popular over there? Let's show another question here. Michael Keller. How do you clamp down on illegal Chinese immigration? Is there a problem with illegal Chinese immigration in Nigeria?
I think there is some. I'm not really au fait as to how the government is dealing with that, but I think there is definitely some illegal Chinese immigration because, you go to certain parts of Lagos and you see some Chinese people they're so into the system that they even speak the language now. The local dialect.
Then.
Yeah. So
I mean, there's illegal immigration all around the world, but would you say that it is a big problem in Nigeria, or it's just one of those things?
No, I won't say it's a huge problem, because you will know it's huge if it starts to hit social media and starts to go viral and people start to talk about it. So it's not a huge problem. Nigerians are actually working well. I mean, along that tier of Nigerians that works in the industries that moves the economy, like the marketplace, the transport, the restaurants. Nigerians are working well with the Chinese there. They're working together, the higher echelons of the Chinese, if you like, the Chinese elite, their aim, their purpose, well, that's something else.
Okay, Michael had another question before. It's for Wally. Do you think this is a pandemic or a plandemic?
It's a plandemic. Of course it is. Are you kidding me right now?
What do you mean by plandemic?
Well, it's a plandemic. Look, it's a long one, Steve.
Of course, yeah.
A plandemic, something that's orchestrated. Okay, look, we have had so far 80,000 deaths. 90,000 deaths in the United States of America from COVID-19.
More than that now, but
it's probably a little more than that. That's crazy. That's crazy.
We're not going to fuss about the numbers.
In Nigeria, we've had less than 400 deaths. Okay. You've had in Nigeria huge infiltration by the Bill Gates Foundation for years.
Yep, yep.
They've been working on Nigeria for years, like the Chinese, for years, okay? Now, at the onset of this pandemic, Melinda Gates comes out and says that she sees dead bodies littered all over the streets of Africa.
Wow, I haven't seen that one, that quote.
Yes, she said that. Now, why would she say that? You've not even given us the credit that we've kept the deaths at a very low rate in Nigeria and in other parts of Africa. But what you do instead, you plant fear in the minds of people because you have some kind of economic control within the country. And then the next thing we know, there's a bill trying to be pushed for mandatory vaccinations. If that ain't a plan, I don't know what is.
Yeah. And then there's this accusation in Nigeria that Bill Gates is tried to give a $10 million bribe to push this mandatory vaccine legislation through the parliament.
There was huge uproar.
It almost looks like they're trying to strike while the iron is hot, sort of thing. Because there is no vaccine right now. Why would they
let me tell you something.
A mandatory vaccine program if there's no vaccine?
Steve, let me say, look, it's very important to say one thing. Do you know that there is a cure for COVID-19?
Well, I've heard a variety of different cures. Yeah.
No. I want to take it from you from the organic, treatment, an organic point of view. In the COVID-19 is a very excessive strain of the flu. That is my belief. Okay.
Well, it is a coronavirus. I do know a little bit about this. Coronavirus is a class of viruses, and many of the coronaviruses in that class are known to be causes of the common cold. So flu viruses are a little different than coronaviruses, but several of the other known coronaviruses are what people get every single day, every single winter, I should say, affects 20 to upwards of 20% of the population. But carry on.
But, when there's a drug called hydrochloroquine. Yeah,
we talked about this on my channel here. Yeah.
Now, hydrochloroquine, I've lived with that drug since I was a baby. Every time I had malaria in Nigeria, my mom would give me hydrochloroquine. Okay, and all of a sudden they're saying hydrochloroquine is a good cure for coronavirus. We've been taking it for decades. Okay, but the one thing that has really annoyed me more than anything is the fact that the Western media have not shone the spotlight on the fact that why is the death rate so low in Africa? Why do they keep saying, oh, maybe it's because they don't have enough testing kits? Sorry, excuse my language, but that's bull. Why are they Madagascar has come up with a treatment called COVID organics, okay? Which we have the same thing. A friend of mine is a king of the Yoruba tribe in Nigeria, came up with a herbal remedy for this disease. But we've not been given the recognition. But I can bet you, if it was a European country that came up with that, boom.
Well, I don't know. I can't comment on whether this is a cure or not. I haven't looked into it any manner way. But I mean, let's be honest. There are a lot of claimed cures for a lot of things out there, and there's a lot of quackery. And I'm not saying that this is quackery,
but it's not.
I'm just saying.
If you have an official government, if you have a government making an official statement, if the government of Madagascar has taken out clinical observation trials on what they've said is a cure, and 157 people tested, 102 have recovered. That to me sounds like a genuine official statement saying we have some kind of a cure for this. Can you please listen to us? But because it's Madagascar, no one is saying, oh. They will listen
is
if
not
they were
known to be a. I mean, I can understand the skepticism. Madagascar is not known to be a particularly strong medical research region.
Well, okay.
I'm playing devil's advocate here.
How would you say France?
Hold on.
Okay. Yeah.
let me just put this out at you, okay?
Okay.
Somebody comes along, says, I've got a cure for XYZ.
Yes.
Why am I supposed to believe them?
Yeah, I would say to that person, have you tested this? Can we have some observation trials?
Right?
Have
Yeah.
you followed the guidelines of testing this? Can we test it? I will now take it and test it in my clinic with my doctors and have
why
it
do you think
approved.
nobody's tested? Nobody's followed up on this?
Because they think, oh, this is from an unknown, like you said, oh, it's Madagascar, an unknown African country. How will they have the cure for coronavirus?
Is it coming from a medical source in Madagascar, or is it?
Yeah, fully scientific and medical source. Even a Nobel Prize winner, Nobel Prize scientist, has said we need to look at this, what Madagascar's got, because this could help us in our fight against the pandemic. But the planners of this pandemic are not too happy about it.
Yeah, it wouldn't be. They've got a
They got a lot invested
in vaccines.
Oh, thank you.
Uh-huh. No, there's no question that there's a lot of money to be made with a vaccine here. And what's the other smoking gun is the fact that Bill Gates is accused of bribing exactly the kind of legislation that would help him make money. So I'm not saying, I would not rule out these concerns that you're suggesting. I would say they're worth looking at, but I haven't seen anything of that sort myself. I'm just going to Google coronavirus cure from Madagascar right now.
And I'm trying to get someone on your show who is also going to push the cure that we have from His Imperial Majesty in Nigeria, of a cure that's very similar to Madagascar. It's all based on herbal remedies from the plant Artemisia.
Okay, I'm seeing an herbal tea here from Madagascar.
COVID organics?
COVID
organics.
It doesn't say that. This is an article from Ankara. President of Madagascar is telling people to drink this. COVID organics. Yes, that's
right.
Okay. Well,
it works.
It's a bit of a, I mean, you're saying it works, but have you or
look. No, I want to say this. Can I just say this though? Can I say this, Steve?
Go ahead. Yeah.
If the president of the free world says to you,
who's the president?
Take bleach or inject. Donald J. Trump. He's saying take bleach or inject yourself with UV rays, and some people take him seriously. Here's someone saying, I have a herbal cure, and no one is taking him seriously.
Okay.
Hello.
Hold on. Trump's comments have been misquoted and misrepresented.
Yes, of course.
Well, but I take your point. If it's coming from a recognized world leader, top leader, it's going to be taken more seriously than any claim coming from, say, someone much further down the totem pole. And we have a totem pole here. There's no question about it. I just want to take a minute to acknowledge Xeranx here for another generous donation to Studio Berlin. Thank you very much, Xeranx. Appreciate all
Xeranx
here. And let's read what Xeranx has to say. Western media doesn't talk about the benefits because Trump said it was promising. The joke is, if Trump cured cancer, they'd call it dangerous. That is true. And that's part of American politics right now. You're probably familiar with this, Wale. In the U.S., the left-wing political spectrum, left-wing in the U.S. controls most of the media, most of the big media, and they absolutely despise Trump.
Yeah,
to the point where if no matter what Trump says, they will disagree with it. So I think Trump, in some ways, he plays them just by saying he wants them to disagree with. To suit
sometimes the guy is impulsive, which I don't have a problem with that. He just comes out and he says it. Look at the lady, the Chinese lady that asked him the question about testing. She said, "Is this a global competition for testing?" And Trump said, which I thought was a fair enough question, ask China.
Yeah,
he wasn't being racist because she was a Chinese lady. He just said, ask China.
I saw that very same clip, and I was as surprised at it as you. But like, if you noticed, also, she's obviously trying to claim racism and play the victim.
Yeah.
This is so common here. I'm sick of it. I don't
It-
even, doesn't phase me at all. So
No.
here's the other thing. If you notice in that very clip, this is a
Yes.
reporter going to a White House a press conference, right? In
Yes,
the time
yes.
of a quarantine with a lockdown where everybody in the world is supposed to be wearing your mask and social distancing. And you know what?
She didn't wear a mask.
She had a mask, but
Oh,
she
okay.
was holding it in one hand, okay, holding a pen in the other hand, and with a notebook on her, and she would just lift the mask off like this, right, off and off her, and she's trying to accuse Trump of being unethical or of not following the rules or whatever. I just found it so hilarious. And then she accused him of being racist because she's Chinese, and he turned around and walked away, which I thought was, what else can you do when you're facing a ridiculously hostile audience? You know?
Yeah. No, the media is very hostile to him, and I watched the Trevor Noah show, or the social distancing show with Trevor Noah, and he goes on and on about Trump every single second. And it gets a little boring. You go, dude, is it only Trump that you want to be talking about? There must be something else we can talk about? It's like Trump, and he's done all. I mean, it's like, yeah, a lot of what he says is funny and quite, quite perceptive, but it gets a bit much when it's every single time he's talking about Trump.
Yeah,
it's like,
no,
give me a break.
You can count on it, that whatever Trump says today, they're going to twist it.
They're going to trash him. Yeah,
it's hilarious.
Yeah, but he shouldn't have mentioned the bleach. He should have kept that in his back pocket. But anyway,
I don't recall him saying drink bleach.
Oh, I was there. I saw it live.
You saw it live?
Yeah, what did he say?
I didn't know Trump was here. Was he by the pool?
Huh?
You saw it live? You said? Did they have a press by the pool here?
Yeah. No, he was in my living room. He said, "Wale, I want to declare from your living room, let the world drink bleach." My Trump impersonation is terrible, but
we've lost power again here for some reason, but fortunately my battery backup is working great well. I think we've lost power like 5 or 6 times.
Yeah, I think my battery is very low.
Your phone battery?
Okay. Yeah.
All
right. I think we should be all right.
Should we wrap this up or?
No, I think we got what, another.
Okay, let me. I probably missed a couple of questions there again, so folks, you can put them in the comments. I have a hard time scrolling around looking for the questions here. Just scroll down a little bit. Here's another one from Ziranks here. Okay, let me read this out to you. Thank you again for your generous donation to Studio Brûlé, Ziranks. Also of note is the highlighting of the farmers being killed in South Africa, but there was an article that said Nigerians were being attacked before that. My ignorant assumption, South Asian, anti-foreigners. Is there some truth to this? South Africans? Oh yeah, South African anti-foreigners.
Yeah. No, there's a lot of truth to that, Ziranks. The South Africans were attacking Nigerians, And basically, it all boiled down to the fact that they were so frustrated with their own positions because
where was this going on? Where was this going on?
Mostly in Joburg, mostly in Johannesburg and outside of Johannesburg. Nigerians were literally being attacked on the streets, and it became a diplomatic crisis. And this happened last year, but it's been somewhat resolved now. And it was just down to the fact that a lot of South Africans were frustrated with their government. So they attacked the Nigerians, saying that the Nigerians were a bad influence in the country, and were taking all the jobs and blah blah blah, and it's,
What's the deal in South Africa? Like, there some time ago there was some talk about black South Africans, say killing or driving white farmers off their land. You know anything about that?
Oh, I don't know about that. I've never heard about that, but I won't be surprised if that happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How's the situation in Nigeria for white people? Is there racism there, or is there?
Not far from it. Steve, if you came into Canada tomorrow, you probably find it very difficult to come back to the Dominican Republic.
You mean Nigeria?
Yeah, if you came to Nigeria
You
tomorrow.
said Canada, but I presume you
Oh,
mean
that's not say
Nigeria.
Canada. Yeah. Sorry, I said Canada. If you come to Nigeria tomorrow, you'll find it very difficult to come to the Dominican Republic, because I would say quite categorically that there is absolutely no racism in Nigeria. We welcome
Really?
foreigners with open arms. Yeah, and I know a lot of Westerners in Nigeria have settled in Nigeria, work in Nigeria. And
What's
yeah.
the quality of life there for like a reasonable, say, not a rich guy, but like a guy who's got ordinary income,
Oh, very good. It's very good. Very, very similar to here, Dominican. I mean, you can rent a place, relatively cheaply, and go about your business. You can also grow a business there.
Oh, really? So as a
Yeah.
foreigner, is it easy to just move in there and start up a business?
Yeah, obviously you have to do all the necessary paperwork, the work permits and all of that. But it's
The
hardly,
government's
it's not
fairly
as
supportive of new business.
yes, yeah, definitely very open, very supportive.
Hmm.
Yeah, I've got
What would
deals.
you have to pay for a decent house or apartment there? In a maybe in a larger-ish city or a mid-sized
Well,
city.
the thing with Nigeria is you have total extremes. It could be very expensive, and then you can go bit to where it's very affordable. It really depends on the kind of area you want to live in, But it is very affordable. You can get anything up from $50,000-$60,000 upwards.
I mean, to rent.
Good.
Let's
To
say
rent.
you wanted to rent.
To rent is like here.
Oh, really?
Yeah, to rent like here. The only thing is they don't do a monthly rent. They ask for a year in advance.
Oh, you got to know that you like the place.
Yes, exactly. Or 6 months in advance.
Yeah. But I guess that's still better than buying if you're not certain.
Yeah, exactly. And then you should go there and rent and have a look around, then decide, decide what you want, But yeah.
Here's a comment by J. Willie Series suggesting that farmers and foreigners are being attacked and killed in South Africa. I live in South Africa, he says, and that is very true. Our government is very corrupt and evil. There has been news reports. I remember reading about this somewhat, and I haven't read much about it recently. I mean, the coronavirus seems to be upstaging everything that happens in the world right now. So
I didn't know that was happening in South Africa. I had no idea that was happening. That's terrible if that's the case. I have no idea.
Yeah. But I mean, there's been a long history of strife between race relations in South Africa. Back in the 1980s, I worked with a fellow whose family left South Africa for that very reason, around the struggle with apartheid and when all of that was kind of coming to its head,
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to, here's Xeranx again. Thank you so much again, Xeranx, for your generous contribution.
I
don't know what we'd do without you. How much is your NEPA bill? What is a NEPA?
NEPA is the National Electric Power Authority.
Oh, okay. All right.
But it's no longer NEPA. It's now PHCN.
Which
means, well, it's another power something. But Nigerians say, power has changed now. Because NEPA is notorious for, taking the electric. They just take away the light, man, like often. So I have a permanent generator, I'm afraid.
They shut off the power. They just shut it off, or it's
like here. There's frequent power cuts.
Yeah, we've had
it's not 24 hours.
Today.
But yeah, exactly.
We've had 3 or 4 today already. But fortunately, around here, just for the viewers know how we deal with it here, most people have either a battery backup or a generator backup system. Yeah. Some places have their own solar power as well on their roofs.
Yeah.
Here we have a very powerful generator that comes in generally 3 seconds. 3 seconds after, and it runs everything. It runs the AC, it runs the refrigerators, everything runs. So we never have any significant problem with power. But some places do here, because not everybody, not all units, not all condo places, units and houses have their backup power. I think in a place like this, it's a necessity, because like in bad times, you can lose power out for 3-4 days.
Wow.
Like after the first hurricane I was at went through here, there were people that had lost power for 4 days or so.
Oh my God, that's terrible.
Yeah, but I mean, we didn't hear. We have a generator.
Yeah.
You know, I had to go down the street and talk to people to know that they were out of power. You know.
Wow, crazy. Yeah. I hope my battery's about to go. So if
Well,
I suddenly go off.
Why don't we wrap it up for today?
Okay.
Wally, thank you so much for joining me. I think
Thank you very much, Steve.
hope to see you again soon.
Definitely.
Maybe in about 5 seconds outside. I see you right now, in fact.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Thank you, everyone. Thank you,
everyone.
Steve Brule, and everyone who joined in. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Wally. Thanks for joining us. And thanks,
Thank
viewers,
you.
for joining us again today for Coffee with Steve on Studio Brule. Look for us again on Thursday. And tomorrow is Wednesday. I'll be taking a break off the coffee break tomorrow. And Thursday will be, I'm not sure what's on Thursday. I can't remember the plan right now. But there will be an extra Femingo file this week. And there are 2 other scripts in the process. So keep tuned to Studio Brule. And like I like to remind everybody, do something you love every day. And if you don't have something you love, look for something you love. This is very important. No matter how hard things are or how good things are in your life, always find time to do something you love to do. You never know.
Do something you love every day. Studio Brule.
What are you doing that you love today, Wally?
Oh, I'm getting in the water and swimming with the fishes.
The fishes. You're going down to the ocean?
Yes.
Okie dokie. Enjoy.
Yeah. Thank you.
And we'll see everyone on Thursday. Ciao.